This is the Easy Line Super Bond, part of Nicholas Lodge collection. So this is a very strong adhesive called Super Bond, which is used to attach mostly dry things to a cake surface. I also use this for other applications I will talk about. So it comes in this little pot with a little adapted little dispenser with it, so almost like a baby spatula. And this also fits in the holder that we have. So this is actually what I use in my classes. So this is the easy release stick, the easy release pot, the edible glue roller, and then here is the Super Bond. So this makes it very, very convenient to have this at all times. So using the small little spatula that we have with this is good for applying pieces. Now, as I explained, this is very useful for this product to attach dry things, heavier things to a cake surface. So things we often deal with would be things like a piece of jewelry, a sort of a brooch, something that's fairly heavy. I mean, this weighs approximately about ½ an ounce. So something like buttercream or royal icing, it would often slip down. So this works really, really well. So you just would take just a little bit of this. You don't need much of this. And just put a little bit of this onto the back of the surface area, and like so. And then you would take this onto your cake. So I'm just going to show you putting this onto the side of a cake here. And so you see, you just would just position this onto your cake, and you just would go up and down a few times. This usually takes about 5 minutes to set. And so this would have just attached this to the side of your cake. Of course, something like this, if it was going onto a square cake, onto a round cake, you generally would dry the piece in a curve. Other things we have issues with are a lot of times things like pearls. So here I have actually like a large sugar pearl. Here I have a chocolate sixlet. Here I have an isomalt gemstone. So this also works wonderful for isomalt work. So when you're doing sort of a larger piece, you could attach so for example, with something like the pearl, you could actually just put a little bit of the product onto the edge of the cake here, so just a little tiny piece onto the top of the cake, and then you can just pick up with your bead-in tweezers, and you just would attach that to and that will actually hold this. But you can see you can actually have this vertical. I just literally put this on about 5 minutes ago, and you can see how it's still rubbery, and it just holds in about 5 minutes, sets perfectly. When you're doing isomalt, you can use this. And another way you can put actually pearls on is you can also just take the pearl with the bead-in tweezers and just touch it into the surface. So you're just going to get just a little bit of the product onto the surface and then attach that to your cake. And that would then fit onto your cake there. But literally just leave it for about 5 minutes and it should be secure. Other things we use are, for example, like little gumpaste bows. So sometimes we would make a bow off of the cake and then let it dry. So again, just going to put just a little bit of this product onto there. So if this was sitting onto the edge of the cake, so again, just going to just attach this. And you see how that attaches that. It's not going to go anywhere and will stay perfectly in place. So this is a very useful product for, as I said, for isomalt, for large pearls, brooches, bows, things like that. Now you can also use this product for other applications. Rice paper or wafer paper has become very, very popular. And so this is wonderful to use when you're doing wafer paper work, because basically what happens is it doesn't make the wafer paper wrinkle. So if you were making something like a wafer paper flower, you could just take just a little tiny bit of the glue and just going to spread just a little tiny bit of the glue onto the wafer paper. And this would then actually just to sort of attach the pieces together. So then if you attach another petal, if you're making a flower, so you see how this will actually hold the pieces together perfectly. So it glues them really, really strongly, but it doesn't wrinkle the wafer paper. And on something like if you were doing, let's say like a wafer paper feather, you can use some of this product. So when I'm doing it on a larger piece, you could spread some of this on a larger piece of wafer paper. And something else I found that this works really well is also on the spreadable lace, the lace we make in silicone molds. This can be spreaded onto the back, and it's going to form a really, really strong bond between the two pieces. So you see, you put this on so it doesn't warp the wafer paper, and then you would attach a wire. This is a 22 gauge wire. I take another piece of wafer paper, which I put on top. Just going to smooth this over the top. So you see, this is going to form a bond between the two pieces. And then you just would cut that to a almost like a sort of a boat shape, and then cut this with scissors, and this gives you a feather. So you see this is a wafer paper feather, and this is being made with the super bond to hold the wafer paper together. So this is wonderful if you're doing that type of wafer paper work. So this is very useful for wafer paper, for spreadable lace when you're attaching lace decor to a cake surface, also for, as I said, attaching any type of heavier item, dry especially, heavier item to the side of a rolled fondant cake. So that is the super bond.